Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. It means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up, you're hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I hope that work week's in the rearview mirror. If it's not, we will get you to the finish line here, whether it's me until 3 o'clock or Matt Moscona from 3 to 6 a little bit later on. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com is going to join us in 15 minutes to talk football. LSU will be on the practice field. Well, not really the practice field, the real field inside Tiger Stadium tomorrow. We'll certainly be there, and we'll talk about that with Preston in 15 minutes. Jason Caldwell covers Auburn and has for 2 decades for Inside the Auburn Tigers. We'll talk to him about a big 3-game set coming up this weekend from Plainsman Park. Nico Iamaleava is in the news because he's not practicing. We may talk about that a little bit later. Got some Saints to get to in the SEC baseball weekend that is afoot. We'll get into some of that as well. So let's do things the way we do them every day and start with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Extended road trip for LSU baseball. They were in Norman, Oklahoma last weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hit the road at Thibodaux on Tuesday. They won all 4 of those games. Now they'll finish up a 7-game road swing at Auburn inside a newly renovated Plainsman Park over the weekend. And it's a big series for both teams. You're looking at an Auburn team that is 6-6 in SEC play. And has played a pretty tough schedule. Alabama has a good team. Vanderbilt's got a good team. Georgia is very good. Of course, LSU on the schedule this weekend is an excellent team as well. So you're talking about an Auburn team that has been tested and I think has done a pretty good job. Yes, they did get swept in Athens, but they were competitive in all 3 games on the road. And sometimes you just come out on the short end of that stick. But I think it's a good team. I think it's an NCAA tournament team. And I think it's a team that if it has things break the right way, could potentially get into the hosting mix in the next 4 weeks. Now, that being said, I do think there are some flaws to this Auburn team, and we'll get into it, but I want to start with LSU. This team right now is playing such good baseball. They defensively are very good. You have not had the extended issues at third base that you thought you might have early when Tanner Reeves kicked the ball around a little bit. Stephen Milam and Daniel Dickinson has been sensational. Luis Hernandez has really cleaned things up behind the dish. And then in the outfield, you're excellent. Derek Curiel is a highlight machine out there in left field. Chris Stanfield, former Auburn Tiger, is been doing a great job in center field. You saw a little bit of that last week as well. And then in right field, whether it's been Josh Pearson or Jake Brown, you've gotten quality defense. And I think this week, defense is going to be a big deal at Auburn. Here's why. Auburn strikes out fewer times than any team in the SEC. Now, LSU is second in the league in strikeouts as a pitching staff, but I think Auburn's going to make that mission difficult. And I say that because Vanderbilt leads the SEC in ERA. They're third in the SEC in strikeouts, and they went to Plainsman Park to open SEC play, and they only struck out Auburn 15 times in 3 games. Keep in mind, Cade Anderson had that last week. So this is a team that's difficult to strike out. They're going to put the ball in play. You've got to catch the baseball. And I think that is a huge, huge key to the game this weekend. And I also think it may influence some of Jay Johnson's decisions. Now, tonight, you're facing Sam Dutton, a right-hander. I'll talk about that in a second. You're going to see Cade Fisher a little bit in the game on Saturday. I'll give you Cade Fisher's backstory because we got a second here. He was at Florida as a true freshman in 2023 when LSU played them in the national final, and he was a really good bullpen arm as a freshman for that Florida team that nearly won the national championship. LSU saw him twice in the championship series, and he was supposed to be the next dude. You saw Brady Singer move on, and not Brady Singer. I was thinking Hurston Waldrop move on from Southern Miss to Florida and then to the draft, and their ace moved on from that team as well. And then you saw that Cole Fisher was supposed to be next, and Cade Fisher was supposed to be next, and it didn't really work out. And he looked at the transfer portal. He's at Auburn, And he hasn't been great this year either. His walk numbers are way, way high, 17 in just over 21 innings pitched. And he's a left-hander that you're going to see. But I'm not sure that LSU's not going to give Michael Braswell extended playing time in this weekend because you've got to catch the baseball, and he's been a little bit better defender than Tanner Reeves to this point. But again, just put the bow on that. Like, I think defense is a big, big deal this weekend. Now, Sam Dutton is worth a discussion here because Sam Dutton has had a really nice go of it as the Friday night guy for Auburn. Last week against Alabama, he was phenomenal. He threw 7 innings of shutout baseball, just 2 hits, only allowed 2 walks as well, struck out 6. He's not a massive strikeout guy, but he's been an efficient guy and a guy that's worked deep into games. His fastball is what it was at LSU. It's 92, 93, and he's going to throw that kind of short slider. It's not a big bender. I wouldn't necessarily call it the tightest slider you've ever seen, but it goes up there and it just darts a little bit. The key with Sam Dutton is that he throws a lot of strikes. That's what is his best quality as a pitcher. He will not blow you away. It's not a devastating breaking ball. Doesn't have command of 4 or 5 pitches. He throws it over the plate with some firmness to it, and he'll spin a breaking ball if he needs to. And that's what he was at LSU, and that's what he will be at Auburn. And it's worked out better at Auburn than it did at LSU. Now, he didn't get a lot of extended goes at LSU. I mean, famously, in the first year Jay Johnson was here in 2022, Sam Dutton got an SEC start. The first pitch he threw got hit off the wall for a double, and he was taken out of the game. You don't see that very often. A starting pitcher go out there, throw 1 pitch, and then be taken off the mound. You've got to have a plan for that, which involves somebody warming up as the game is starting. So while he didn't get a long leash at LSU, he did pitch in some pretty important games. He started 9 SEC games in 2022, and then he pitched in a regional final in 2022 in the Sunday night game that LSU lost in Hattiesburg. He also started the Monday game last year in Chapel Hill before you saw the heroic effort from Will Helmers to keep LSU in that game. I think he'll have a little bit of extra motivation tonight. I think he'll have a chip on his shoulder to pitch against LSU, to pitch against the coaching staff that didn't necessarily give him a ton of run. He got a lot of starts. He didn't get a lot of chances to extend. When he saw some trouble, he generally came out of the game. I'm curious about this. My gut, this is what my gut tells me, and my gut's wrong plenty. My gut tells me that LSU is going to do some damage on Sam Dutton tonight. I don't find him to be a dominant Friday night arm. I don't see him to be on the level of Kyson Witherspoon. I don't see him to be on the level of Jared Spencer. I don't see him to be on the level of Pico Khan. These are arms that LSU has seen in games this year. I think he's a Sunday guy in the SEC. Now, he went out there last week and shoved. And against Vanderbilt, he was very good. He had some bumpy outings against Georgia and Kentucky. In those 2 outings combined, you saw him go 9 1/3 innings, 12 hits, 8 earned runs, and 11 strikeouts and 2 walks. So even in the outings where he got hit a little bit, he didn't walk anybody. So you got to earn it off of Sam Dutton. I think LSU will tonight. I think Sam Dutton probably exits this game in the 3rd or 4th inning. That's what my gut tells me, but certainly we'll have to see. On the other side, I will be watching Cade Anderson very closely. Y'all have heard by now my thoughts on his outing last week. That's in the rearview mirror. What does it mean for this week? And just because he gets hit this week doesn't mean it was a terrible decision to go him 135 pitches. But I want to see the command. I want to see the radar gun. And I want to see how long he can last in this game. I think we're in an unknown with Cade Anderson on 2 perspectives tonight. 1, this is the most innings he's ever thrown in a college season. 2, he's coming off 135 pitches. So while everything to this point has kind of been building up, you're not building beyond 135 pitches in a complete game. Now it's maintenance. It's maintaining the level that you saw. And I'm not saying he has to go throw 9 shutout innings again. I'm just saying he needs to look like he has looked. And my gut tells me that he will. But that's just something we're going to have to see when the lights come on tonight at Plainsman Park. This is an Auburn team that's got a couple of old bats in Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray that have been great this year. They're both hitting over 325, 7 and 8 home runs respectively, so 15 total. Those guys have been really key pieces for Auburn for 3 years. Combined, they have over 1,000 at-bats at Auburn. So they are the guys that make this thing go. I had a little play on words on LouisianaSports.net today. You've got Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray, which sounds Irish. You got a little bit of a theme there with those guys. It's easy to tie them together. They're very good. Both hit from the left side of the plate. Cade Anderson has struggled against left-handed hitters this year, so that's something to watch for in the game tonight. Beyond those two guys, you've got a host of freshmen, and we'll talk to Jason Caldwell about it in 20 minutes, that have really come on for Auburn in the lineup, and then also as far as the pitching staff goes. So this is a good Auburn team. I don't think it's a great team. I think they're probably right on Oklahoma's level. I don't think they're on Texas's level to this point. They're better than Mississippi State. So the standings kind of bear all that out. I'm not breaking any news to you there. This will be a tough challenge for LSU to go on the road to Plainsman Park. As I sit here today, it's 1:10 on Friday afternoon. They start this thing up in just under 5 hours. I would sign up for 2 out of 3 and get on out of there. I think it's likely that LSU loses the game here. I think it's possible that LSU could drop the series, but I feel better about LSU's team than I do Auburn's team. I think LSU's a better team, and I think they're going to hit Sam Dutton tonight. You look at Game 2 with Fisher versus Ianson. I think that slightly favors LSU. You look at Game 3, Auburn does not have an announced starter, and you've got Chase Shores going if you're LSU. By now, you know the game plan for LSU. It's pretty simple. The first time you can get a lead through 5 or 6 innings, you get either Evans or Cowan up, and then you ride those guys when the time comes. Hopefully that's later rather than sooner with Cade Anderson on the mound, but that's the game plan for LSU for sure. I'm fascinated to watch this thing. LSU's in position to continue to make the math favor them, especially if you can go on the road. This is the back end of a 7-game road trip. You will have played as of Monday 3 of your first 5 series on the road. You've got 3 of your 5 series remaining at home. Now, 2 of those are very difficult because you've got Arkansas and Tennessee coming in. But it should be a really competitive weekend there at Plainsman Park, and it'll start tonight with Cade Anderson and Sam Dutton. We'll talk about all of it with Jason Caldwell of Inside the Auburn Tigers when at the bottom of the hour at 1:30. So that's our opening drive. It's brought to you by Genesis. When we come back, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking a little bit of football on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Look, I know a lot of folks don't love to go to the dealership. It's been a negative experience for decades. Feel like there's salespeople swarming you, feel like you're being upsold, maybe not being the most honest, and can feel like a pressure-packed situation. That's never, ever, ever going to be the case at Genesis. You're going to deal with one of their brand ambassadors, and they're there to help you as a guest. They're not there to sell you as a customer. Get behind the wheel. See that difference. Learn about the great safety features. See all those bells and whistles, whether it's the entry level, whether it's sedan, all the way up to the SUV, no matter what your family situation is, there is a Genesis for you. Check out the inventory at genesisbatonrouge.com, and if you'd like them to come to you as opposed to going to the dealership, that can be made possible. Just have one of those brand ambassadors drive to your office, to your home. You can get a test drive, and they can deliver the car right there to you, do an e-contract. You never set foot on the lot. I would suggest you do because it's a phenomenal facility with a great staff. But either way, they're there to make you comfortable at Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
If you're having a big family get-together next weekend for the Easter holiday and you're thinking, how am I going to feed these 20 people? That's going to be a lot. I got an idea for you. Corks. They're fantastic with their catering. Then get you a big tray of the crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, big tray of those French fries. Get your honey butter rolls as well. Feed the whole family. You don't have to lift a finger. Just give them a day's notice or so, and they can have you all taken care of over there at Corks. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Bring you our Friday shows each and every week. Part of those Friday shows each and every week, Preston Guy, tigerbait.com, talking LSU football. We'll see the Tigers on the field inside Tiger Stadium tomorrow morning. I'm sure Preston will be there. Let's talk about it. Preston, how are you?
I will, Hunt. And you know what is the strangest thing about being in Tiger Stadium for a non-spring game practice is that they're going to keep on practicing next week.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I found that out yesterday.
Me too. I just assumed that, okay, we're done now. And, you know, it will be an unglorified spring game. But no, they're just going to do a practice and then keep on going afterward, which just, that messed with my head in ways that I didn't even think to ever think of, because it's always just like, okay, you do all your practices and then, you know, you go out with a big hoorah for the spring game, and you're just going to keep on going after the open practice this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you know how the sausage is made here at LouisianaSports.net. I wrote a story kind of previewing what to watch for if you go to the practice, and I wrote in the lead, like, they'll conclude spring practice on Saturday, and Matt read it before he posted. He was like, nope, they're not done on Saturday. They have more. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, they have more practice next week. So I had to go in and change the story before we published it. So I was right there with you. I had no idea until yesterday that they weren't finishing tomorrow. But we'll get a little bit of a look tomorrow. I'll toss you some answers to give you a little bit of multiple choice. But what freshman has the best chance of grabbing a starting role in the fall? Is it DJ Pickett? Is it? I mean, is that probably the guy? Is it maybe somebody else that we're not thinking of?
Yeah, I'll go DJ Pickett, but that's kind of almost a boring answer at this point. It's like, you know, in 2019, like, oh, yeah, do you think Derek Stingley Jr. is going to have a chance to maybe play this year? Let's get a little spicy here and say Carius Kern.
I was going to ask you about him.
Thomas. Yeah, both those guys look really good, and I think, look, they're intentionally not showing us much of their starting lineup this fall. They've given us very little 11-on-11 action, and it's very clear to me that, and this is out of character for Brian Kelly since he arrived here, but they are withholding lineup information from us, you know, not like in a deceitful manner, or just like they don't want all this out there, because I think that's a sign of they're trying to take their time and evaluate and figure things out. So that being said, offensive line is clearly a spot where, there's 4 open positions, 5 if you want to count potentially DJ Chester moving to another role. And there's a lot of potential. There's not a single player who has just their teeth sunk in and locked into a position, So technically anybody could come in and play well enough to get a starting position at any 5 spot.
Let's go to the other side of the ball, to the defensive backfield. I've written a couple times and said that I've just liked the way I've seen Deshaun Spears in some reps at safety in the spring. I'm not suggesting he's the first-team All-SEC player today, but I've noticed him a couple times. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he physically looks the part, and that's nothing new. I think there's some buzz about, how is he going to handle, tackling. They want him to be more physical, more of a presence, getting guys on the ground and playing a more physical role. But, certainly a talented player. He's a big body. I guess the concerning part of what I just said is, if they're looking for him to improve as a tackler, and we're talking about a guy who is 6'3", 205, just off the top of my head, that's what I would guess his measurables are. Usually it's not what you hear about a guy of that size. Usually it's like, yeah, the big safety, we need to work on his man coverage, but boy, he can play physical. So little bit of a strange critique there of him that we're getting through the grapevine. But they recruited the way they did at DB in the portal for a reason. And there's certainly guys, this is why I always talked about depth, Hunt, is if you have an issue and a guy doesn't pan out the way he is, well, think about guys like, all right, does Mansour Delane have what it takes? Because he can tackle. For a corner, he's a very good tackler. So a lot of guys you could see pick up that slack if he's unable to play the way we think he will play next year.
If you were to poll 10 big LSU fans as of November 30th, said, okay, give me one player you think is going to enter the transfer portal from LSU, I would imagine multiple people would have said Caleb Jackson's name. We don't know and certainly don't talk to him, and he has not. Does that surprise you, one, and do you think he's got a role moving forward in this program?
Well, I mean, you've seen, we just talked about how these starting lineups are suspect at best, but he's been your second running back. And you look at who they bring back, and, it's not a super deep room in terms of volume of guys, right? Now, I think they've got good quality players. They really like Caden Durham as their one. And then you bring in true freshman out of New Orleans, 5-star Harlem Berry, who's going to factor in pretty nicely. But, it's just not a ton of guys there to get him super buried. So, yeah, it is a bit of a surprise. I hope he leans up and works on his burst and acceleration and ability to find the hole. But, yeah, that's a guy typically when you're positioned and poised to have a breakout season and you go the opposite direction and you have a very underwhelming season despite every opportunity to take the reins and make it yours. Typically in this era, guys hit the portal, but I'd be lying if I said it isn't refreshing to see a guy deal with some adversity and battle through it. I mean, it's rare in this day and age.
In my head, I'm just thinking, well, what if I recalibrate expectations and I say, okay, Caden Durham is going to take 70% of the carries, and he's going to be the guy that they hope runs for 102 yards a game. And then if you could have Caleb Jackson late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter with fresh legs at whatever he is, 230 pounds or whatever, like that's a guy you probably don't want to tackle all that often if you've been chasing Caden Durham around for a while. Like if I say, well, I don't need him to run for 1,200 yards, but if he's just a menace for 2 drives a game, like that, there's a role there, I would think.
Well, he's got to improve from last year because one of the big problems was it just took so long for him to get up to full speed. We saw in practice when he got hit on a swing pass, he was destroying people. I mean, he is a big, bulking, physical back, but I think he gained so much weight, it took too long to get to full speed, and all of a sudden you have this big, bulking power back who, because it takes him so long to get any power generated, I mean, every time he would get hit, he sat straight down to the ground. So, no, I mean, if he plays the way he played last year, no. He's going to have to work on that. So we'll see if he works on it. I would really like to see him lean up and generate some power to where we can start seeing situations like Okay, you got hit at 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, but you lowered a shoulder and turned it into a 3-yard gain instead of, offensive line didn't block for you and you just took a seat and gain of 0 yards. You know what I mean? Like, that's just hard to get anything going when it takes so long to build your momentum up.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and hopefully he has lost a little bit of weight and can get up to that top speed a little bit more quickly. Last thing here, defensive tackle. How are we feeling about year 2 for Dominic McKinley and Ahmad Bro?
Yeah, 2 bright young sophomores. They look sharp, they look crisp, and then I guess the big question is there. Jacobian Gilreath is, you don't often look at a 6-year senior and say that's an X factor, but how is he going to heal? You got 2 young bucks looking like they might take over, but is he going to be able to come in and be an immediate starter and catch up right where he left off? Or is he going to be a guy who's a little slower to recover? So it'll be interesting, but I like this defensive line probably coming into spring. You might have said it's one of your weaker units, but you combine the defensive tackles looking pretty good, and then you got an X factor we just talked about, and then those edge rushers. Once you factor them in, man, I'm telling you, this edge room is deep, talented, physical, fast. I wouldn't be surprised if this edge group collectively is one of the surprises of the season this year because they just look really good.
I completely agree. I've written it a couple times. I've talked about it. I think they're well stocked at edge, both rushing the passer and in terms of playing the run. I think that's going to be a strength of the defense. Preston, I know you'll be covering it tomorrow. Let everybody know where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, we'll be doing a little post-game, post-practice report, whatever you want to call it, afterward. Me and Mike Scarborough will take this one together. You can follow us on the Tiger Bait YouTube channel. You can subscribe us, Tiger Bait on YouTube. Also keep up with all of our work. If you just want to find one central place to keep up with all of our socials and everything we put everything on tigerbait.com. So y'all come check us out there, and we'll continue pushing out tons of good recruiting coverage because they'll have plenty of recruits in town as well, and we'll be talking about the game. And I'll say this, unlike past years where you could just watch the spring game, I don't think they're going to have any kind of television broadcast. I think you're going to have to tune in to people to figure out what happened more so than ever.
I'll be the guy down at the end of the press box watching the Masters with the Coke Zero, so you can find me there for certain. So I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Preston. Have a great evening.
See you then, Hunt.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. Speaking of the Masters, Rory McIlroy is on the move currently. He has played the back 9, and he's not done with it. He's played it at 5 under thus far, just made birdie on the par 5 15th. He'll head to 16 now. He's just 3 shots off the lead, which is Justin Rose's. He is done today, shot a 71, 1 under par. So lots going on at Augusta. We'll keep you posted as we move forward on today's show. Our Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. We'll come back and chat with Jason Caldwell, who covers Auburn for Inside the Auburn Tigers. Let's talk some baseball with him coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team are phenomenal folks to work with. I would imagine that you don't often run to Google to write a review of your insurance broker. That does happen for the clients over at the Highland Insurance Group because they do such an incredible job handling their commercial insurance clients that folks want to tell people about them, and they do. And you can see on their Google reviews they've gotten exemplary marks. I give you this story all the time. They had a potential client that had a general liability policy on their 5 commercial properties, and it was a total of $1 million dispersed over 5 properties. They took that policy and they put $1 million on each of the 5 locations, so a total of $5 million in the aggregate, and they kept the premium the flat. That's the kind of thing that the Highland Insurance Group can do by auditing your policy and making sure that it is working the way that it should for you. You spend good money on your insurance, it ought to respond properly. The Highland Insurance Group will make sure that happens. Call Jonathan or go check him out at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Busy hour number 2 coming at you. We'll talk some spring football, talk some Saints, and I got to get you ready for the SEC baseball weekend to come. So looking forward to all of that. Also may mention a little bit of the about the Masters in the second hour as well. Going to have Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover here shortly. Honestly, if we're being candid, I'm probably going to have Jason from Auburn Undercover once I send his phone number to Jacob Beck here via text message. That at that point, Beck will make the phone call and we will get him on the show.
I thought we've had him before, right? I feel like we've had him on the show. That's why I was like, usually when we have somebody we've had on the show before, I have their phone number.
I've had him many times.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why. For some reason, I don't have his phone number.
Could it be that you just didn't do the job properly and you did not log the phone number in once we had him on the show?
I don't think
so. Is that
possible? I don't think it's possible.
All right. Well, we'll rule that out and we'll just go with something else that may have happened.
I mean, incompetence is it's very possible for me. It is
user error.
It is.
Good. Well, go ahead and dial Jason up because I'm excited to talk about this Auburn team. This was a big year, I think, for Butch Thompson at Auburn. They were bad last year. This is a Butch Thompson's gotten them to Omaha twice. He's done a really good job at Auburn. They built this brand new stadium. Well, I shouldn't say that. They renovated the stadium and have some talent on that team, but they needed some of the young guys to grow up a little bit, and that seems to have happened. And in my opinion, they've gotten kind of a resurgence from Sam Dutton here, so we're going to talk to Jason about that as well. I think that'll be a good crowd there. The weather's supposed to be good. That's a really welcome sight for LSU because you were dodging rain the entire weekend against Mississippi State 2 weeks ago, and then last week in Norman, like that's just atrocious weather, quite frankly. The more I think about that 3-game series against Oklahoma, the more I'm just like, man, that was a great job to go up there and get 3 wins, because the weather could have dictated that anything happened over the course of those 3 days. I know that you're supposed to just be tough and go out there and play and next man up and that whole thing, but playing baseball when it's 37 degrees outside and windy is just not very easy, and that's some of the stuff that LSU was dealing with in Norman. Should be a gorgeous weekend on the plains of Auburn. That's where we find Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover, good enough to give us a little bit of time. Jason, good to talk to you. How are you?
Hey, Hunt, I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing quite well. I just said this before we got you on. I just felt like after last year wasn't very good, and you spent all that money on the stadium, like this was a big year. This is a big year for Auburn baseball, and by my estimation, they're off to a pretty good start there at 6-6, and that includes a sweep at Georgia, where I thought they played okay. They were competitive. They just didn't win a game. Is that a fair assessment of coming into this year? What Butch Thompson was looking at?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's pressure everywhere you go. I think Butch is a guy that's really popular with Auburn fans, and so I think he's got some rope there. But you have a year like last year where you're disappointed, hosted the year before and lost at home, and so yeah, I think there was some. I think as much pressure as he's going to feel, I think he felt right now, and I agree. I thought they actually played really well at Georgia last a couple weekends ago. Playing Georgia in Athens versus playing them anywhere else is a much different scenario. I think probably the same thing with Texas. I think playing at Texas versus playing Texas maybe away from there is probably a different feel too, because those teams are designed to play in those ballparks. But I think overall Auburn's played pretty well. Still haven't had Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray both swing the bat well at the same time, and I don't think they played their best baseball yet. And to do that and still be 6-6, and haven't already played. You've already played Vandy. You played a road series at Georgia, had Alabama at home. Now all you do is get LSU at home, at Texas. You still got to go to Tennessee and Ole Miss. So this league is not easy.
No, it's brutal every single week. It's just, unless you get Missouri, it's brutal every single week.
That's it. Yeah.
I know it's just they're just not good. We saw them here in Baton Rouge to open the SEC slate. Let's talk about Irish and McMurray, and then the rest of the lineup that rounds around. And those guys are stalwarts. They've got over 1,000 at bats at Auburn between the two of them, and they've got good numbers. You just say they're not doing it at the same time. But there's also been a host of freshmen that have joined them in the lineup. So kind of speak to the depth of what Auburn's doing behind Irish and McMurray.
That's been the key for this. It's been somebody different every game. Pace Fralick has been one of the biggest surprises for this guy. He was a tennis player in addition to being a ball player. And honestly, he's a guy that can hit all fields, does things, big physical kid. And I think he's a guy that's going to hit 20 home runs before he's done. He's playing at Auburn, but he's been really good behind the plate. Bub Terrell, the freshman outfielder, Chris Rembert, another freshman there. They've been 3 guys that have been mainstays in the lineup, and that's not normal in today's game with the transfer world, to have 3 guys that are advanced enough to play in this league, and they've done a good job so far. And have added depth to a lineup that McCabe Allou's been out the last couple of weeks with a shoulder issue. You had Eric Guevara out early in SEC play because of a hamstring, so they've had to go a little bit deeper, and they've been able to kind of hold on even while not being healthy.
Ike Irish is a guy that's been dealing with injury as well. It's kind of moved him off the catcher slot. You expect him to be as healthy, reasonably healthy moving forward?
Yeah, he actually is. He called some inner squad the other day and catching yesterday when I went out there. I think he's done a good job in the outfield, but fractured part of his scapula, so got hit in the back by a pitch against Ole Miss and missed the opening weekend SEC play. Came back for week 2, so yeah, he's been dealing with a less than 100% Ike Irish as well, and so he's actually been swinging the bat pretty well and has adapted pretty well to playing right field. So yeah, it's another one of those where you know what you're going to get in this league, and it's a grind. Eric Snow, who's been an everyday starter for him, got hit in the face by a pitch against Alabama and missed Tuesday night, but should be ready to go this weekend. So yeah, another one of those situations. But Ike has been, I think he's been doing pretty well, and I think he'll get back behind the plate at some point. But Chase Fralick's been good enough that I don't think it'll be an everyday thing even when that happens.
Sam Dutton, 4-2 on the year. Auburn is 3-1 in his SEC starts. His season-long ERA is 2.66. He's been good by the numbers. What have you seen from the former LSU right-hander in game ones?
Yeah, just a guy that pitches. I mean, I think that's the thing. He's comfortable. They believe in him, and he's a guy that can throw 4 pitches for strikes. So I think that's been the key for him, is just pitchability. He's not a guy that's going to throw it 100 miles an hour, but a guy that just has been a veteran, been around, and knows how to pitch and is comfortable doing that. So I think that's been the key for him, is just, he has that bulldog mentality, and I think that's helped him as well. So I think probably throwing multiple pitches for strikes and just knowing how to pitch as an older guy has probably been his key.
Feels like he may have a little bit of chip on his shoulder this evening facing his former team. Last one on the baseball side, and then a quick football hit, if we could. You look at Saturdays, Cade Fisher's going to get the ball. LSU saw him twice in the championship series when he was at Florida, but he hasn't been able to extend this year. What's kind of been holding him back?
Yeah, I think it's just been a little bit of, kind of gets a little wayward there after 2-3 innings, and it's been a struggle for him to kind of get deeper in games. But he pitched really well early and kind of battled through against Georgia. I think that's the thing for him. He's got great stuff. It's just a matter of keeping it dialed in, the second time through an order, some of those things. And, they kind of got confidence in him. They believe in him. And so I think that's been important for him, is that he's got a group that says, hey, we trust you. We believe in you. So I think, if he can start getting 5 innings, you're not asking him to go be Cade Anderson and throw a complete game, but I think you can get him 4 or 5 innings deep into a game and save some of your bullpen. That'd be really important.
Let's talk a little bit of football while I've got you. Tell me about quarterback here in the spring for Hugh Freeze's team.
Just lost you. You still there? Huh?
Yeah, I'm here. I got you. So if we could, I still got you. Let's talk quarterback. What's Hugh Freeze got here in the spring under center?
Yeah, no, I think Jackson Arnold's been really good. Deuce Knight has been probably as advertised, maybe even a little better than advertised for them so far. And so I think they've been pleased by that competition, and I think it is a competition. I think it's going to be a battle probably going into the fall. You'll add Ashton Daniels as well, Stanford transfer, but I think these guys have both played well so far this spring, and you wrap it up tomorrow with it. Basically, is all it is, and then you just see who can take the next steps over the summer. Jackson Arnold has experience, and it's going to be probably tough to unseat him if he plays well, but Deuce is really talented, and I think he's going to make a push.
Jason, we always appreciate a little bit of time. Great to catch up. All the best to you.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover, covers Auburn for 24/7 Sports. Been doing it better than 2 decades, 2.5 decades, in fact. They're on the Plains. Good bud. It was great to see him when Auburn came into the Assembly Center back early in the season. Of course, that one didn't go so well for the LSU Tigers, but Jason's always good enough with a little bit of his time, so we certainly do appreciate it. I think it's interesting because for Auburn's pitching staff, on Friday you got Sam Dutton, who's not immensely talented, that's been really good just throwing strikes. On Saturday you've got Cade Fisher, who does have a lot of talent, but he's not throwing over the plate. And so that's this whole thing in a nutshell. It's the same thing we've been talking about with LSU guys. It's like Zach Cowan is probably not going to be a first-round pick, but he gets a ton of outs because he's always in the strike zone, as opposed to some of the other guys at LSU, like Jacob Myers, for example. That guy throws 97 and has a really sharp breaking ball, but he walks 2 guys every inning he's out there. And you can't pitch like that. In this league, you put 2 guys on base consecutive innings, you're going to give up a 2 spot at some point. It's just too hard to pitch, and that's kind of what you've seen from Cade Fisher all season. It's why he's only been able to go 3 or 4 innings in every start. His longest start this year is just 4 innings, and that's who LSU will see tomorrow. Once Sam Dutton relinquishes the rope, whenever that is tonight, if it's 2 innings, 5 innings, 8 innings, wherever that point is, at that point Auburn gets really choppy with their pitching. And they've got a lot of it, and Butch Thompson's a really good pitching coach, and that's how they've done things over the course of the first 4 weeks. LSU's got to hope that they can get to Sam Dutton pretty quickly and start that choppiness as quickly as possible. That's certainly going to be the goal for LSU tonight. We'll see if they can execute that. All right, when we come back, I'll get you quick caught up on the Master Scoreboard, and there's been a development in the Nico Iamaleava saga that we started yesterday when I kind of gave you my thoughts on the reporting that was going on. We'll talk about all that to close out hour number 1, coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool The crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, Ice Cubes.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
I mean, Beck, this is a pretty tasty leaderboard here.
Yeah.
In the top 9, starting at 9 and going up to 1, you've got world number 1 and two-time winner Scotty Scheffler. You've got major champion and top 15 player in the world and Zurich defending champion Shane Lowry. You've got freak of nature Ludwig Goberg. You've got Victor Hovland, who's looking for his first major and won last week. You've got Rory McIlroy searching for the career Grand Slam. You've got big, goofy Bryson DeChambeau. And then you've got Justin Rose, major champion, two-time runner-up at the Masters. All that in the top 9.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Now, it's not going to work out that way because, candidly speaking, the last 5 Masters have been kind of sleepy in the last, 4 holes. It's been pretty well decided at that point. Dustin Johnson ran and hid. Hideki ran and hid. Scotty's run and hid. Since Tiger, chased things down, and he made a bogey on 18 to win the tournament. So it won't work out that way probably. But it looks really good right now for a Friday afternoon. Who's your pick to win at this very juncture?
I really like Rory. I think he just after he almost started his back 9, he's just been striping everything, and then And he's got, what is he, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 under. He was 5 under. Yeah, he's 6 under for the tournament. He was 5 under through 6 holes. So he's really found
he just threw up on himself twice on chip shots yesterday, which was just pathetic. I mean, they just can't make that mistake on 15.
No.
Like, the only thing you can't do from behind the green is chip it in the water.
Yes.
Leave it 20 feet short, 2-putt for par, and get out of there.
Yep.
He tries to get cute, hit it in the water. That's no good. And then that's just a terrible double on 17 that he made. I think Bryson's a problem here for me. Maybe not for others. He's 7 under par. He's 1 shot off the lead. Victor Hovland has made, let me make sure my math is right. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he had made 4 birdies in a row. He just made a bogey on 17. So, it's going to be a really, really good weekend at the Masters. We got Scotty with a lot of golf to play today. Rory's just got to get it in the barn and for the next 2 holes, and Bryson for the next 3 holes.
And you still have a lot of guys even in the top 15. You got Jason Day at 4 under. You got Hideki at 3 under, Tommy Fleetwood 3 under, Sam Burns 3 under, actually 4 under for the day. So good round for Sam.
Good for Sam.
Sam will be around for the weekend, almost certainly at this point. And then you got Xander and Sahith, a couple of other guys that really have played well the last few years within striking distance. So this should be this has the makings. The weather's supposed to be great, so this should be a really good weekend.
I will watch.
I will as well.
Good to know. All right, let's talk about Nico. I usually am not going to hammer home a point 2 days in a row when it's not even a team in the market, right? But the story has developed a little bit. Yesterday, we told you that there was a report from Pete Nakos of On3 that Nico Iamaleava was in negotiations with a new contract, is the word that he termed it, with Tennessee. It was unhappy with his current arrangement. And my point yesterday was this. I understand the need for name, image, and likeness. I think it's great that young people can be paid for their marketability. I gave you the examples of Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy and immediately holding up Canes, and I think that's absolutely worthwhile for everybody involved. I gave you the example of Livy Dunn, who has millions of Instagram followers and can pitch a product like a clothing line and can be of a lot of benefit to a business and should get paid for that. I think it's great that an LSU baseball player, I'll just use an example, I don't know if he's ever even done this, but like Cade Beloso, guy that's never going to play professional baseball. But if he wants to give a hitting lesson while he's at LSU and make $300 on a Saturday, I think that's great. I think there are a lot of really good things. I'm just not sure the point of this is for a player, a family, and then the representatives around him to go to a booster collective and demand things, or I'm leaving. It's not illegal. I just don't know if it's the right way to carry yourself. And it's not great radio to have a one-person debate or to relay a discussion earlier. And I don't know if Matt will talk about this on his show or not, but we just talked about it in the hall for like 15 minutes earlier. And Matt is unapologetically always pro-athlete. And in his eyes, it's like, dude, if you've got an opportunity to have some earning potential here, just go get it wherever you can get it. And while that's not illegal, and I wouldn't necessarily label it wrong in capital letters, I'm just not sure it's the right way to go about things. And I'm just not sure that entering into an agreement and making a decision and joining a team, and again, I want to be clear about this too as I'm going through this discussion. I don't know what's happening at Tennessee. I don't know what Nico and his team are asking for. I don't know what they have, what cards they have in terms of who's willing to pay what. I don't know if Tennessee did something that was not, I don't know the details. It sounds like, to me, they agreed to one thing. He came and played for 2 years. There's 1 year left to go. There's immense earning power for college athletes. And they think in Nico's camp that, hey, if I get out on the open market, I can make more than I'm making right now, and I want to do that. And that's certainly a natural thing to want to make as much money as is humanly possible. But to me, I think once you enter that agreement and you're part of a team, and I believe, this is an opinion, that you're making more than you're worth, in my opinion. Of course, someone could counter that and say, hey, you don't know. What if somebody's willing to pay him $5 million next year? And if that's the case, okay, well, I think that's a really bad investment, but that would prove me wrong that he is worth that. I just don't have that information. I just think at this point, you're alienating your teammates, you're burning a bridge within your team, and I think you're acting unreasonably, and I don't believe that it looks like the NFL. In the NFL, you've got a contract. You can't go play for somebody else once you're under said contract. In college, you can forever and ever, amen, use this leverage that you've got with the transfer portal to just strong-arm people into massive amounts of money. And that to me sounds more like blackmail and extortion than it does good business. That's an opinion of mine. I just don't feel like this is what was intended. And it's not Nico Iamaleava's fault, and it's not his representation's fault. It's not Josh Heupel's fault. It's the current landscape that encourages this as the way to handle yourself to maximize on finances purely, to me seems a little bit backwards. I don't like that way that people handle themselves. And so we'll see what happens. He did not go to practice today. And if that's his decision, that's great. If he really would like to be at practice, but his representation feels like he's entitled to more, that's a horrible position to be in. I don't have all the information. I don't know. I just feel like there's a better way to go about this than what is currently in place. And hopefully we get to that at some point. All right, got some Saints football, LSU football to talk about in hour number 2. Come back with us. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, bathrooms can be a hazardous place. We know that, especially as folks age. If there's someone in your life that is getting up in age but wants to stay in the house and you feel like the bathroom could be a hazardous spot, do what you can to mitigate that risk. You can't take it away, but you can mitigate it. You can put handrails in. You can put non-slip floors in. You can put in a walk-in tub that's more convenient and safer. You can put a shower and it's got a bench. All of that can be handled at One Bath and Closets. I know it might sound like a good idea to go down the street and get the handyman who always comes over and patches some holes in the wall. Go ahead and get a true professional if you're going to handle a huge renovation like this. It's One Bath and Closets. You can start with the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can get the free consultation. There is financing options available. There are financing options available. 0% for up to 18 months if you qualify. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, onebathandclosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Second round of the Masters today at Augusta National. Action right now on ESPN and the ESPN app. Justin Rose shot a 1 under 71 today. He's still in the lead at 8 under, now by 2 shots over Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, and Corey Connors. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports the Browns will sign veteran quarterback Joe Flacco to a 1-year contract worth $4 million. Flacco was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year for the Browns in 2023. He spent last year with the Colts. Cleveland's Deshaun Watson is recovering from a torn right Achilles and could miss most or all of the 2025 season.
The performance comes when, your back is against the wall. It comes better because you kind of got to really lock in. You don't have anything pretty much to lose. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. Everyone's doubting me. Everyone don't believe in me. Everyone don't think that I can get back to where I was.
Deshaun Watson posting his thoughts today on Instagram.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Monday. We have a packed sports weekend, and I'll react to it all in my upon further review. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. It's Lenten Friday. Looking for a po' boy? How about a shrimp po' boy from Corks? How about a catfish po' boy from Corks? Comes with those crispy shoestring fries, hush puppies, coleslaw, maybe a 100 butter roll if you want to toss that in there as well. Corks is awesome. Check out their menu online at corksfishandshrimp.com.
Breaking news, Hunt.
Oh, please.
Curtis Givens returning to the LSU men's basketball team.
Okay. Okay. I'll talk about that briefly. That's where we are in sports. We got to announce that we're staying in a school.
Yes.
Awesome. That's good stuff.
It is.
That just makes me laugh. Like, it's hard for me to keep going with the thought when that's where my head is. But Curtis Givens is a backup point guard right now. I really liked his tape coming out of high school, but when you're getting a highlight tape that you're getting just that, a highlight tape. And he was overmatched early on in the season. And it resulted in turnovers. It resulted in some passive play. It resulted in not a lot of production at all. And the turnovers got out of control for Sears when conference play started. And Matt McMahon had seen enough of that, so he decided to put Givens in there. And instead of getting the scoring ability and the turnovers of Sears, you got the limited turnovers and no scoring ability from Givens. So you went from like big time on both ends of the spectrum to like minuscule on either side. And McMahon valued that, so they went with it. I think that there's room for him to develop. I've brought these guys up many times previously. I saw huge development in some combo guards over their time at LSU. Garrett Temple was purely a defender in his freshman season. By the time he got to that 2009 team that won the SEC outright, he was a very, very functional offensive player and a pretty good shooter. He became a better player. Tim Quarterman was overmatched when he was a freshman trying to play the point. And by the time he finished, it had a triple-double against Kentucky. He was a really good offensive player by the time he was done. Skylar Mays couldn't shoot at all when he was a freshman. I watched him play at U High, and he didn't even shoot. He just drove to the basket all the time against smaller players. And by the time he left, he was a great shooter and has bounced around the NBA. There's certainly time to develop, and Curtis Givens has great size at 6'4", 6'5". He has some good ball handling abilities. He's got to become a better playmaker, and that's kind of what you're looking for out of him. So, look, I think De'Don Thomas is absolutely the point guard on this team. You've got Jalen Reese coming in as a highly thought-of point guard. And then you can have Curtis Givens, who to me looks like a bench piece on this team, and maybe that's a good role for him right now. But he will be back. That's just interesting that we get that announcement. But here we are. That's kind of the. I mean, look, that's LSU did a lot with football. You saw Garrett Nussmeier sit down and have a whole video production about it. But I would tend to think that Garrett Nussmeier, being a 4,000-yard passer who had potential NFL draft opportunities in the first round maybe, that merits maybe a sit down and an announcement. Curtis Givens, who probably averaged 3 points a game in the SEC. I'm not sure about that, but we'll take it. And Curtis Givens back with LSU basketball. Speaking of Garrett Nussmeier, I wanted to briefly talk about him as we get ready for an open practice tomorrow out at Tiger Stadium. Usually, quarterback is really the first thing you report on for practice reports. I've been writing practice reports since 2010. That's 15 years now. And generally speaking, you talk more about the quarterbacks because when you go out there, it's easier to write about completion percentage and the actual football in the air than it is, these DBs ran around these cones pretty well. Wow, did you see that defensive end hit the sled? Man, was that impressive. That's not really easy to talk about. But if you go out there and you're watching a quarterback throw, the route tree, even if there's no defense out there, you can talk about how the ball came out, what the arm string looks like, how the accuracy was, how many they caught. It's just an easier thing to talk about. And so I was thinking about how we've covered practice at LouisianaSports.net and what we've talked about here. And I feel like most of the discussion has been about the offensive line. Most of the discussion has been about how good LSU looks on the edges on defense. A lot of the discussion has been about freshmen like Carius Kern and Harlem Berry and DJ Pickett. We've talked a lot about them. All of that is new. It's all changing, and I think it is newsworthy. And I personally, I can't speak for the morning guys. I can't speak for Jimmy and Charlie. I can't speak for Matt. But I feel like my show, I haven't spent a lot of time on the quarterback. And I think that's a huge positive. Now, I briefly mentioned Garrett a week and a half ago and just said that I feel good about where things stand at quarterback, but it's probably deeper than that. I mean, yesterday I did a segment on the quarterbacks LSU is going to play against this year and how Bud Elliott had 4 of them in the top 10. And you're looking at, oh man, you gotta go play Cade Klubnik. You got to go play Lenora Sellers. You got to go play DJ Lagway. These are really good players that you're going to have to deal with. But Garrett Nussmeier was number 2 on that list, and I didn't talk about that at all yesterday. And I think that we just kind of expect Garrett Nussmeier to be really good. And I do want to take that thought in for a second and go, there was a time not that long ago, about 10 years ago, where I would have just cut off a pinky finger to have a quarterback that would show up, throw for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. It just was an impossibility, seemingly, in Baton Rouge. And we got that last year from Garrett Nussmeier, finishing the top 5 in the country in passing yards and completions. Was just brilliant in a top 10 win over a good Ole Miss team in Tiger Stadium. And most of the time, discussion was framed by saying, he doesn't run. He turns the ball over too much. And you're like, what happened to us? Where did our expectations go? Sometimes you got to get back to your roots and realize what it is that you're talking about. And I am not here to tell you that Garrett Nussmeier was perfect last year. I'm not here to tell you that he's Jaden Daniels. I'm not here to tell you that he's Joe Burrow. I'm not here to tell you that he's going to win the Heisman or be the 5th pick in the draft. I want to start the baseline of the conversation. And then we can have more depth to it, but I want to start the baseline of the conversation with LSU's got a good quarterback, really good quarterback. Does he need to run a little bit more? Yes. Does he need to work on the decision-making that cost him 2 awful interceptions out of the 3 against Texas A&M? Yes. Does LSU need to run the ball to help him? Yes. There are things that have to get better. But the baseline, before we start talking about how good he is or what he needs to improve on or what the ceiling of the team is with him there or what pick he's going to be in the draft, the baseline of the conversation needs to start, in my opinion, with LSU as a really good quarterback. Because I believe strongly that if you gave truth serum to the 15 other SEC head coaches. I bet there are 12 or 13 of them that would trade their quarterback for Garrett Nussmeier and wouldn't bat an eye. I don't know what Steve Sarkisian would say. I don't know what Billy Napier would say. And there are probably some who feel really good about their quarterback. But you know who would be trading for LSU's quarterback? Most of the league. Josh Heupel? Yep. Hugh Freeze? Yep. Kalen DeBoer? Yep. I don't know about the top 2 or 3. And if you ask me if I wanted to trade Garrett Nussmeier for DJ Lagway, I would not. Now, that may be foolish. If you asked me if I would trade Garrett Nussmeier for Arch Manning, I would not. We'll see. I may be proven wrong. I may be proven right. In the end, it's really just a hypothetical because there are different situations, different schedules, different supporting cast, different coaching, the whole thing. But to me, LSU has got as good a quarterback as there is in the Southeastern Conference. And that is such a position of strength to work from. And so tomorrow we'll go inside Tiger Stadium and nobody's going to sack Garrett Nussmeier and he'll probably look really good. I'm not too concerned with how he looks on a Saturday morning in April. But when LSU takes the field against Clemson in the first game of the season on Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, not Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, when they take the field, if I've got a pros and cons list of to why LSU is going to win and why LSU might lose, the first line or the second line of that pros list of why they might win that game is Garrett Nussmeier. In how many years have you gone into the year, not in October or December, gone into the season saying that about LSU's quarterback? It doesn't happen very much. So I think Garrett Nussmeier's got to play better than he did last year for LSU to reach its goals of playing in the playoff. He's got to play better than he did last year for LSU to get into the SEC championship game if you want to play in that, to win the SEC, to win a playoff game, to get to the national championship game, to win the national championship game. He's got to play better. But LSU is in the discussion for all of those things I just laid out in large part because of the guy they got taking snaps. And I don't know of anybody who feels strongly differently. And if you do, you're going to need to bring some real information to this discussion. Again, the baseline we saw last year, not going to be good enough. But the baseline creates the opportunity for things to go really well in Baton Rouge this coming fall. And I just feel like since we've been talking about this football team for 5 weeks in the spring, and I just haven't done, I don't even know if it's a good enough job, or I just haven't done much on the quarterback. Today's a good day to go, you know, they got something pretty damn good under center. I wanted to make that statement today. So we'll talk about Garrett Nussmeier tomorrow after practice. We'll write a practice report up at LouisianaSports.net and certainly further that discussion coming up on Monday. But I just felt like that was an important thing to get out in front of there with Garrett Nussmeier. So we've done that now. We can take a time out. Then we come back. We will chat a little bit about the New Orleans Saints for the day. Come back with us on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. We'll talk some SEC baseball, including LSU and Auburn in the next segment. I want to talk some Saints here. Brett Coleman of the Bootleg Football Podcast was talking about New Orleans as it relates to drafting a quarterback early in this draft, and said that he felt it was a really good place for a young quarterback. And that took me back, because I look at this Saints roster and I go, they got a lot of old guys that are super expensive. They've got a young coach who hadn't proven anything. Like, it doesn't feel like a great place to come in as a young quarterback. I'm going to need you to elaborate on that a little bit. And so I'll read here the quote said, they have their left tackle, they have their first wide receiver, and they have a head coach that understands the position. Any quarterback that they would take at number 9 could theoretically work there. Okay, I get that. Like, Taliesin Fuaga looks like a hit in the draft. It's hard to argue against that, and I'm not trying to. I feel like Eric McCoy is a really good center, one of the best in football. I think the other places on the offensive line, Cesar Ruiz, Trevor Penning, and whatever they're going to do at left guard is a little bit up in the air. Do I feel like Chris Olave is a true first wide receiver? Maybe. If he is, he's probably in the 20s as far as number 1 wide receivers go. Yes, he does have 2 1,000-yard seasons to his name. I'm not trying to completely disparage Chris Olave. I think he's a really good player. I don't think he's Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's Jamar Chase. I don't think he's Tyreek Hill. There are plenty of guys in the NFL that I think are better number 1 options than Chris Olave is. Plus, he's coming off a pretty scary medical situation, right? So I'm not ready to completely put a check in that column of wide receiver number 1. And then as you continue to work down the list at wide receiver beyond Rashid Shaheed, who is certainly a weapon at wide receiver, like I think you could argue the Saints don't have a very good wide receiver core. So while, yes, it is true that you do have your left tackle, you still have 3 issues on the offensive line. Probably 2 is fair. I think right tackle is iffy. I think left guard is very iffy. So you're kind of telling a half-truth there saying that Taliesin Fuanga is a reason why this is building block. Well, that's a 20% of the offensive line. And then is Chris Olave a true one? Maybe. But the wide receiving core as a whole is not great. Now, I can get on board, even though Kellen Moore is a young first-time head coach. He's not bucking a trend there. You're talking about a lot of guys, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, that have taken over programs very young in their lives. Mike McDaniel was young. Like, that's now more commonplace in the NFL. But I am putting a lot of faith and faith into Kellen Moore's ability to work with quarterbacks and develop an offense. I think the Saints will be worse on offense this year than the Eagles were last year because they don't have the personnel. But I do think Kellen Moore is a quality coach in terms of game planning, play calling, execution. I think he's good. And I will put that in the positive side, understanding that he is in a brand new position. But I think maybe, and I'll read the rest of what Coleman had to say, I think maybe one of the other pieces to this puzzle that's not supporting cast related is actually the fact that Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback this year. And any quarterback that they take, if they do it at 9, whether it's Dart, whether it's Sanders, any quarterback they take at 9 is likely the second-team quarterback. And while I would feel comfortable giving Cam Ward a runway as a rookie starter, and while certainly you saw phenomenal play from Jaden Daniels, you've seen guys break into the league and be ready to compete, I don't feel like any of the guys they got at 9 are the guy that I want to throw out there immediately. And with Derek Carr there as a placeholder, expensive one, but a placeholder, I think that is a positive for one of those young quarterbacks in this hypothetical. So I agree with a significant portion of what he says. I do think it's telling half the story. So to me, the Saints are not a graveyard for a young quarterback, but there are some challenges there. And that's why I'm just not ready to pull the trigger on said starting quarterback. Because I'd like to shore some things up before that happens. Now, if you can, in this draft, get Tet McMillan at wide receiver, find a starting left guard, well, now, and give Kellen Moore a year of running the show, all of a sudden, with a new crop of quarterbacks, I can look at Taliesin Fuanga and say, okay, that's a Pro Bowl left tackle you've got. That's a Pro Bowl center you've got. And now you've got a left guard you feel good about. This is a hypothetical, right? I can play that game. If you get that in this draft, which is reasonable to suggest a 3rd or 4th round pick could be your starter at left guard, and then you've got a true potential number 1 in Tedero McMillan, or you take Tyler Warren at tight end, which I don't think they're going to do after they sign Juwan Johnson to the extension, all of a sudden now it really starts to look a little bit better. Now, I don't know where they're going to be drafting next year. And next year, if you take a quarterback, he's probably got to play. So you do change the dynamic a little bit, but I still think it's more advantageous next year to help the supporting cast and to get that solidified than it is to come into a shaky spot around the 11 in the huddle and put them behind Derek Carr to learn for a year. So let's just put a number on it. We can do that. If 0 is the worst possible situation a quarterback's ever walked into and a 10 is the best you could walk into, I think the Saints are somewhere around a 5. But I think you could get to a 7 if you hit on this draft. And it's not a quarterback. I just feel so convicted in the feeling that this draft is a franchise changer for the Saints potentially. They all are, but because of where the Saints are, because of the salary cap, because of the age of the roster, and because they have 9 freaking selections, can you find somehow, some way to get 4 starters out of this? They don't all have to go to the Pro Bowl in year 2, But if you can find 4 starters out of this draft, and that's asking a lot, but it is possible with 9 picks. I'm not even asking you to bat 50%. But if you can find 4 starters and then usher out Carr and usher out Cam Jordan and usher out some of these older players like Tyrann Mathieu and potentially looking at Cam Jordan or Demario Davis, and all of a sudden you free up some cap space, you've got some young players locked in their spots, and then the quarterback hook has to be set. There's a very clear path to getting this done. It's very much easier for me to sit here and say it than it is for somebody to sit there and actually get that job done. But we see it in the NFL every single year. You saw Burrow do it in Cincinnati. You saw Jaden help with it in Washington. You've seen a renaissance in Houston. There are consistent examples of organizations that have been down on their luck, that have been in bad situations, that have worked their way out of it with either a transcendent quarterback or some really savvy roster moves. And the Saints would really like to have both of those. But if you can just start with one with the savvy roster moves, then maybe you set the stage and make life easier on that quarterback and their ability to become that difference maker, that transcendent franchise piece behind the center. Half of what Brett Coleman said, I buy completely. Half of it, I feel like is a half truth, and you need to address some of those things. It's just a huge, huge, huge day for New Orleans in 2 weeks on Thursday and Friday and Saturday to get some pieces into that organization that are young, cheap, and productive. We say it all the time. Doesn't become any less true. They've got to get that done. I don't think it should be a quarterback right now, but we'll just have to see. That's our look at the New Orleans Saints. If you're looking for Saints content, check it out. That's Hunt on Saints on YouTube, Hunt on Saints wherever you find your podcast. All Saints all year round in short, digestible segments. Check it out, Hunt on Saints. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We certainly do appreciate that. All right, LSU and Auburn, and a lot of really good weekends, a good series in SEC baseball this weekend. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every single model in the Genesis line is an IHA top safety pick. All of them. All of them. So no matter what Genesis you decide you like to drive, whether it's a sedan all the way up to the SUV, whether it's the entry level all the way up to the highest end, you can trust you're getting behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road. It's just such an important part of the shopping experience. Your brand ambassador, when you get behind the wheel of that Genesis, will help you out by letting you know what safety features are allowed or installed, and you'll feel that peace of mind when you get behind the wheel. And then you're going to feel the difference in the driving, all those bells and whistles and accessories and the perks that come with the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, 3 years of complimentary maintenance. All that's available at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check them out, Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
There was a walk-off in the SEC last night. Beck, did you see that?
No, I did not see it.
Well, Coach Maneri was not on the winning side.
Ah, come on, Paulie.
They were in College Station. It was Gamecocks and Aggies. Gamecocks had a late lead, could not hold it, went to extra innings, and Texas A&M walk-off Oppo homer, Caden Sorrell. Don't look now. Ags have won 3 in a row. Are they getting hot?
Well, they're playing South Carolina.
Yes, they are.
So, who did they play last week? Was it
Tennessee?
Yeah, so that was right. That was good for them, but I'm not going to take too much away if they sweep South Carolina here.
If they sweep South Carolina, they're going to be 6-9.
That's pretty. That's not bad.
It's not the end of the world. Now, here's the math I have to do. So let's do this math. How do I make sure that A&M's not hosting a regional? They have to get to 16-14 to feel like they can do that. So that would be, from here on out, 12-5.
They're not doing that.
They've got LSU coming to College Station. They got to go to Athens. They've got to go to Arkansas.
That they're not getting 12. They're not going 12-5 on it. It's not going to happen.
Okay, I got to make sure. I can't have them blowing bubbles at Bluebell in June.
It's not going to happen.
This is what we need. Do we feel like Michael Early is in over his head?
It seemed like it early in the season, but I don't think so. I think they have too much talent, I think, for them to not make the tournament. I mean, at this point,
do we feel like he's the best option for Texas A&M as a baseball coach?
No.
Like, do you feel confident if they fired him, they would get a better coach quickly?
I think there's obviously better coaches out there that they could probably get.
What we're looking for is for the Aggies to go 14-16 in the league. That means they would go 10-7 the rest of the way. And then they go up to like Corvallis or something and get beaten the regional, and they don't fire early, but they've had a failure of a season. You got Laviolette and Prager leaving. You got Caden Sorrell leaving as well. Hopefully Grahovic goes in the transfer portal at that point because they fired a second coach, and he's had 3 coaches in 3 years. And then they've got to start over from scratch. That's what we're looking for with A&M baseball at this point. I need Coach Maneri to come through with 1 win this weekend. Do you believe in the former coach of the Tigers going to College Station, getting a win?
I think they can get one.
That's not what I asked.
I'm going to say yes. I say they get one.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
I need that to happen with a quickness. We talked about with Joe Healy about a few of the series that are going on. The one I want to spend a little bit of time on here before I get to LSU and Auburn is Arkansas and Georgia. Arkansas looks great to me. I have watched them play a lot this year. They are really physical offensively. They hit a lot of home runs and a lot of doubles, and they're going to a ballpark that is just it's a Little League field. Foley is a launching pad. And Georgia has enjoyed that, and they have bashed everybody all over the place when teams have come to Foley Field. The question is, can they do that to Arkansas? Now, I'm curious about two things in this series. One is, of course, the outcome. I want to see what the wins and losses are. But deeper than that, looking at these two teams, which I believe LSU is going to be in the mix for a top 8 national seed, and I think Arkansas and Georgia are very much in that discussion as well. Now, Georgia's 8-4 because they got swept last weekend, so that's a big deal. But I'm curious what Arkansas's pitching looks like in that pressure cooker, because they haven't pitched it as well as we thought that they would. They've got so much talent in their pitching staff. Gabe Gackle may have the best stuff in the SEC. I'm not even using hyperbole, but he hasn't pitched even close to as good as Cade Anderson at LSU. He hasn't pitched even close to as good as Kyson Witherspoon at Oklahoma. He hasn't pitched as close to Liam Doyle in Knoxville. He hasn't really pitched as well as like Hunter Elliott at Ole Miss, and he should. And then you got Zach Root, who LSU I thought was going to try to make a play at. He was an East Carolina transfer, ended up at Arkansas. But if they can pitch well in Athens, then that would mean a lot to me. If they get bashed all over the yard, they still have some work to do on the mound at Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to go down there and get 2 of 3 this weekend. If they sweep, I will emphatically call them the best team in the country. I will take Georgia far more seriously if they can win 2 out of 3 against Arkansas. I think it's going to be a fascinating series there from Foley Field in Georgia, number 1 against number 7. As is the case every single weekend, there are a lot of series that are top 10, top 15, top 20 series. Another one's going on in Oxford this weekend. It's Ole Miss and Tennessee. Tennessee, in that dominant year of 2022, where they didn't reach the College World Series, but they were as good a baseball team as I've ever seen in college baseball. Notre Dame just had their number for 2 days. They announced their presence on this scene by going to Oxford and embarrassing Ole Miss. I mean, absolutely embarrassing them for 3 days. Just hit 1 billion homers. And Ole Miss, beyond Hunter Elliott, who is good, has not pitched very well. And Tennessee lost 2 games last weekend and is probably going to be a little cranky. This is where the rubber meets the road for Ole Miss, because they are number 6 in the country. They are 8-4 in the league, and right now they look like a regional host. If they're for real, they got to put up a fight against Tennessee. I'm not telling you they need to sweep them. I'm not even telling you they need to win 2 out of 3. But they need to get a game, and they need to be competitive. And I don't think that's a guarantee. I think Tennessee can overwhelm teams. They did it for a game against Texas A&M. They didn't have it the next day, and the Aggies got out of there with a win. So I think Tennessee's going to sweep Ole Miss in Oxford. That's my opinion. And I think that'll expose Ole Miss as probably not a host site, and I think that'll re-announce Tennessee as one of the top teams in college baseball. I don't know that they need that re-announcement, but I think that's what you're looking at there with the Vols and the Rebels from Oxford. And then, out of curiosity, what does Oklahoma do as a response to last weekend? They were a top 10 team entering last week. LSU took it to them. Vanderbilt pitches really well, and we know that Oklahoma is not a great hitting team. So if the bats fail them, once again, Vanderbilt's not a good hitting team. They shouldn't have to go nuts to score a bunch of runs to stay in games. Vanderbilt, looking at them offensively, they're the least home runs in the league. They're very much a small ball type team. But Oklahoma, I'm curious, if they lose 2 out of 3 here at home, that would be losing 5 out of 6 on your home field. That's a ticket towards the bottom of the league, which I think is a possibility. I like Vanderbilt to go to Norman and win 2 games. All right, let's talk a little bit about LSU and Auburn before we get out of here on this Friday. I talked about this at the top of the show, so kind of reiterating an hour and a half later. I like LSU's matchup against Sam Dutton. I don't think it's like sour grapes or anything. It's not like a situation where I wish ill upon Sam Dutton because he entered the transfer portal. Sam Dutton never really carved out a role in Baton Rouge, 1, because he wasn't a dominant arm, and 2, because LSU didn't really let him work through things very often. It just wasn't. Whenever he got some runners on base or gave up a couple runs in the second inning, he was out of there. He pitched a lot of games, but he just didn't have a lot of lengthy starts, and Auburn's given him a little bit more rope, and he's done a good job. But I think LSU is an elite offensive team. I think they're relentless 1 through 9, and I think Sam Dutton's going to struggle to strike LSU out a lot, and LSU generally barrels the ball pretty good. And I feel like LSU's going to hit the ball early in this game. That part of the matchup doesn't really concern me. And then from Dutton on, I don't think Auburn's pitching staff is great. And so I like LSU offensively really the whole weekend. I'm interested in what Cade Anderson looks like tonight. I want that radar gun to say 94, and I think he'll be adrenalized early in the start. I think he'll be ready to go, and I think he'll be on his game early. The question is, what does it look like to start the third inning? Is he still 94, 95? Can he still command both of those breaking balls? Is the changeup effective? Is there a sharpness to him after the adrenaline wears off? That's important, because if you don't see that, you don't see the sharpness, and you see 91s and 90s on the radar gun, I'm going to have my antenna out. That's just the way it is. I'm not saying I expect that to happen. In fact, I don't. But it's reasonable for me to analyze this team and look at last week's start and say, okay, what does he look like 8 days later? Interested in that. And I have full confidence against this Auburn lineup in Kason Evans and Zach Cowan. And it's a comforting thing if you're an LSU fan following this LSU team to know that if you can get through 6 innings with a lead on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you feel like you've got a guy that can come in and kind of nail it down. It's interesting because I'm going to talk about this next week after the halfway point of SEC play. But I'll do a little tease of it here for one of my bold predictions. One of my bold predictions was that Gavin Guidry and Connor Ware would each have 5 saves on the season. And, of course, that's not going to happen because Gavin Guidry hadn't pitched yet and may not. I'm not breaking news there, but it's reasonable to expect if a guy hadn't pitched for, what are we at? We got 6 weeks left. He's missed already 7 weeks. So he's missed 8 weeks. So that's a reasonable thing to talk about. He's not going to do it, and I don't think Connor Ware is going to do it either. He hasn't been in that role. But the correct part of that take was that they found 2 guys in that Griffin Herring role to start closing out games for him. So I whiffed, but I was in the right batter's box. And that is a luxury that very few teams in the country have, to have multiple bullpen weapons that you can go to nail things down. And I'll tell you who had it last year. And it's kind of similar in the way that the 2 guys pitched. It was Texas A&M with Evan Aschenbeck and then Chris Cortez. You, as the listener, probably don't know who those 2 guys are, and that's fine. But I'll tell you, Evan Aschenbeck was a senior left-hander who threw a bunch of changeups and a ton of strikes. He's, I think, A&M's all-time appearances leader, and he was their best bullpen guy for 2 years. And he helped them get to the championship series. And Chris Cortez was a converted starter. It didn't necessarily work out as a starter, but he threw 99 miles an hour, and they found a 3-inning burst for him at the end of games when Aschenbeck wasn't available, and he was getting them to the finish line. And they used those 2 guys to get to the championship series. And that's kind of what LSU has. Zach Cowan is the Evan Aschenbeck, where it's not a bunch of stuff, but he can throw 70 pitches if he needs to. He doesn't get barreled up a lot. He throws nothing but strikes. And then you've got the stuff with Kason Evans that mirrors Chris Cortez. And Cortez was a junior and was drafted, and then you've got Evans, who's a freshman. So LSU will have him for a little bit. But it's the same type of dynamic with the bullpen that you saw in College Station with those guys last year, and it worked out for A&M tremendously. Now, I have said multiple times that it's not ideal in an Omaha setting to have your relievers going 60 and 65 and 70 pitches, but we'll cross that bridge when we literally get to Omaha. So you're not there. You're in weekend series, and those guys right now are helping you win those, and you've won 3 out of 4 weekend series thus far. So it's a comforting thing. Looking forward to seeing some of that tonight on the Plains. My prediction for this weekend is that LSU does win 2 out of 3. I feel like tonight is kind of a toss-up. I feel that LSU's got an advantage on Saturday, and I feel like LSU's got a little bit of advantage on Sunday with TBA and Chase Shores, although my confidence level in Shores going out there and dominating is not necessarily there, but I feel like they've got a little more certainty there. But Auburn's a good hitting team. They're going to be at home. They're going to be fired up to play. Big weekend in Auburn with some spring football. So I like LSU to get 2 out of 3 this weekend, and that would be tremendous if LSU could do that. You'd be talking about a team that is 12-3 at the halfway point. Oh, by the way, 12, is that right? 12-3? They've lost 2 games. So 12-3 at the halfway point. You're talking about a team that, if they're 12-3, would be the inverse of what you were at the halfway point last year when you were 3-12. It'd be a pretty advantageous place to be. So hopefully LSU can get to that point. All right, that's it for this LSU baseball segment. Let's take one more time out and get out of here. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
.1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month: Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries, as well as Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit 1045ESPN.com to help us reach our goal, and together we can make dreams come true.
Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp, delicious jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy fried catfish, the shoestring fries as well. Awesome po' boys. Check out the whole menu at corksfishandshrimp.com. I mentioned this earlier in the show, but if you've got a big crew coming over for Easter next weekend and you don't want to cook all day to get ready for it, just let Corks know. They'll help you out with a ton of fried fish, fried shrimp, French fries, honey butter rolls. They can do it all for you there over at Corks. So go ahead and check out the website, corksfishandshrimp.com, and try the Corks sauce. Very, very delicious. All right, Beck, run the tape. It's Friday. It's 2:50 p.m. We're going to be back in the saddle on Monday.
Yep.
Who will have won the Masters tournament?
We talked about 30 minutes ago, I think, or maybe it was first hour. But I'm rolling with Rory. I'm rolling with Rory, Hunt. I think he is playing his best golf that he's played in quite some time, especially even just this year.
66
Obviously,
today.
He's won twice this year, and he's in prime position. I know everybody was talking about it before the tournament. They like Scotty or Rory. I like Rory. And I think Scotty is still in it, of course. He's going to be around. He's not going anywhere. But I think Justin Rose is going to inevitably not collapse, but inevitably just fall back. I mean, he's just played insanely good golf these first two rounds, and he can do it at Augusta, but I don't think he's going to be able to keep it up for 72 holes. So I think Rory is going to stay right there within a few strokes, and on Sunday he's going to put it together.
My winner, Big Goofy Bryson.
Wow.
YouTube Gar himself, Team Clip Art.
So you're doing this just as you did for our Masters group, where you're doing this in hopes that you're wrong, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I sincerely hope that I'm wrong.
Well, what if you just actually...
I can't have Bryson at the champion. What is he going to serve at the champions dinner?
Probably like protein shakes or something. Some whey protein shakes or something like that.
That guy is weird. I don't want him in the champions dinner. I'm not even there. I don't want him to win the Masters. I don't want the green jacket. I don't want the interview session. I don't want any of that.
Well, he won the U.S. Open last year, Hunt, so.
That's not good either.
Yeah.
Rory should have won that.
He should have.
That's very bad.
It is.
All right, we got take it or leave it?
No.
You don't have any?
None.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
That's the second day in a row you haven't had any.
Well, and I'm not going to say that there may be a correlation between the Masters
being on and you not getting it done.
Yeah, there might be a correlation there. I can't be certain, but.
Well, I guess I'll have to go ahead and use my filler that I've got right here for the rest of the show.
That's fine.
I do want to remind everyone to go to LouisianaSports.net. Ross has got a ton of stuff up on the Saints right now as they continue to inch toward the draft. I will have a full recap of LSU's football practice tomorrow on the site. You'll have a post-game story from LSU baseball tonight all weekend long, and then Monday, my Around the Horn feature on the entire weekend. So all of it is free. All your Saints talk, all your LSU talk. Marlo's even covering the Masters over on LouisianaSports.net. From an SEC perspective. Rough day for Nick Dunlap yesterday. Really good day for Nick Dunlap today as he is under par after shooting 90 yesterday, which is, I mean, I know we talked about this on yesterday's show, but the fact that he lost to Fred Couples by 19 shots is something else. Freddie might make the cut. Bernard Langer is going to make the cut.
Yeah.
Which is just remarkable that these guys can flush 7 woods and hybrids in there from where the other guys are hitting 7 irons. It's impressive to see. Tonight, LSU baseball, 6 o'clock. You can listen to it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. It'll be Bill Franquez and Chris Blair on the call from Plainsman Park. So 5:30 pregame will fire up. So just about 2.5 hours from right now on Eagle 98.1. 6 o'clock game again on Saturday, and then a 2 o'clock game on Sunday. If you want a preview of that game, guess where? LouisianaSports.net is where you can find it. I'm interested to get out for a little bit of LSU football tomorrow. I want to see the offensive line and what they're looking like as far as the rotation goes. I want to see what wide receivers make some plays. I'm telling y'all, if you're going out there tomorrow, just Chris Hilton's been awesome. I bet he makes a couple plays. 2 guys I think are going to make some plays tomorrow just based on what we've seen in practice. Chris Hilton, Harlem Berry. They're going to get him out in some space, want to showcase him a little bit, want to see him on some swing routes, on some stuff out of the slot, and then running the ball as well. So curious to see a little bit of that. And then also tight ends. Tradez Green and Bauer Sharp have looked great all spring long. I wrote about that at LouisianaSports.net and talked about it on yesterday's show. Like how much they're using 2 tight ends is a cool deal. And so I want to look a little bit of that. If you're looking to get out there tomorrow, 9:30 is when the gates open and when they'll crank things up at a little bit after 10:15 to get some individual drills going, and then they'll play a little bit of a quote-unquote scrimmage there inside Tiger Stadium. I'll have that written up over at LouisianaSports.net. We got our Masters picked in. Beck's going with Rory. I'm going with the big goofy Bryson. But I'm going to watch a lot of that over the course of the next 3 days. Scotty Scheffler coming in there on, looks like, is that 18? No, he's not even close to 18.
That's 9.
9, yeah. So he's got a back 9 to play in the wind there from Augusta, but he just almost made
just hold
that.
it.
He almost made that. He's pretty good. He doesn't really care if it's the wind's blowing 1,000 miles an hour. He almost hold it out. So that's it for us here on this Friday, brought to you by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. If you missed any of the show today, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. You can also find us on YouTube. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Open the show, giving you my LSU and Auburn thoughts. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com talking LSU football. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. Had Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover talking Auburn baseball at 1:30. Talked a little Nico at the end of the first hour. In the second hour, we did talk a little bit of Saints and whether or not they're a good landing spot for a first-year quarterback. And then we talked a little SEC baseball and some LSU football as well. So go check all that out on demand wherever you find your sound. We're done here on this Friday. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar. So enjoy that. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Should be fantastic weather. Enjoy the Masters. Enjoy some football. Enjoy some baseball. We're back Monday. Same time, same place for a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar.